Bitcoin is a risk asset. Bitcoin is not a substitute for fiat currency. I think that the comment was digital gold. I wouldn't call it that. Bitcoin's purely a risk asset. Bitcoin is something that you own when risk is up, when risk appetite is up. And the other thing is, Bitcoin does the best when liquidity is flush. We're seeing liquidity come out of the market. Treasury liquidity is declining during tax season, probably temporary given it's an election year. But as liquidity declines, Bitcoin recently hit an overbought level. You're going to see Bitcoin suffer from that. But I would never want to own Bitcoin in lieu of the dollar or other fiat currencies because I was concerned about the fiscal situation.
But that is the entire argument that Bitcoin bulls make. Do you think it's time to put that to rest? What are they seeing? And when does it maybe act like a safe haven?
Bitcoin bulls are talking their book because they're invested in Bitcoin and they want to see it go up. Personally, I've yet to see it. At some point in time, if cryptocurrency becomes regulated by the central banks around the world, that'll be a different story. But then it won't be nearly as volatile as it is today, and you won't have the opportunity for the gains you have now. But as of right now, I just don't see it, and we don't see it as a viable alternative to the dollar or other fiat currencies.
Let's talk.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And you know I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And make sure you join the Patreon. If you're not a part of Patreon, make sure you're hitting the Cash App. And when the Fed is shrinking liquidity, Bitcoin shrinks also. But guys, that's with any asset. Every time the Fed pumped the market, we had specific stocks and cryptos pump. And we know the mainstream media only gives you half the truth. And he states if the central banks start regulating crypto, then it becomes a good asset. Guys, we know the central banks around the globe have definitely been regulating crypto. It's just the United States has fallen behind. And we know that is on purpose. And we have the volatility in crypto, guys. We're definitely used to it. And we always get a distraction in order to get a big pullback. This time, this is not a big pullback compared to what we've seen. And we know there's even a bigger pullback as the year goes on. Anytime you have cryptos moving up over 400%, you expect a pullback. And the same thing goes with stocks. And because we're having a Bitcoin halving, guys, we know there's going to be a lot of consolidation in the mining space. We've seen it every single time. But this halving is going to be different because not only are we going to see consolidation in the mining space, we're also going to see a consolidation in the crypto space. Remember, only 1% of the 1% is going to survive. We literally saw hundreds of billions of dollars go into 7 stocks and not one person raised a red flag. That's how you know our Congress is paid and bought for. And then, guys, we have gold just keeps hitting new highs because gold is going to tell you the truth. And this is not just in the United States, this is globally. The central banks globally are buying up gold because they know this current fiat system is over. It is now time to bring in the robots, algorithms, and drones, and they're going to pay each other with crypto while the sheep go inside the metaverse. And the video that I showed yesterday, when you're talking about cars are able to charge themselves riding down the street. Now, guys, how do you think they're going to get paid? That's right, crypto. It's going to automatically come out your wallet. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, because he knows. When it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Noise. Anybody who's been in the industry a while is comfortable with 20-30% drops, as even in the most bullish of markets, it's a regular occurrence. And after the performance of Bitcoin in this past quarter and the end of last year, this is kind of, I think, just a drop in the bucket. I can't say exactly. This is a somewhat unprecedented because historically, the precedent would be for Bitcoin to kind of go sideways leading up to the halving, and then sometime about 2 or 3 months post-halving, we've seen historically the price begin to move up, and then 3 or 4 months after that, the price begins to go parabolic. So we're already kind of a broken precedent with such a strong move prior to the halving. So I can't say exactly, but I would say on the generally speaking, I'm very bullish. Right now, there's 900 new Bitcoin introduced to the world every day, and post halving, that number will drop to 450. And 4 years after that, it will drop to 225. And very soon, there will be no more new Bitcoin mined. So unlike what would historically have been considered kind of the most scarce assets, precious metals, when the price of precious metals goes up, there's a lot more capital that becomes deployed for mining and for discovering new supply. Bitcoin is the first thing that literally the first commodity in human history that the supply has no relationship to the demand when it comes to releasing new supply. So the inflation rate is trending towards literally zero and eventually towards probably negative. And the price of Bitcoin, it has no relationship to how much new Bitcoin is going to be introduced into the network.
Having differently than previous halvings.
It's at a different scale. And so larger scale operators now have to really think about how to be the lowest cost operator within the industry. So actually now HUD 8 is US domiciled and based out of Miami. So a part of our a merger that just happened was I started a company and co-founded it called US Bitcoin Corp. We merged with HUD 8 Mining Corp, and we formed HUD 8 Corp based in the US, based in Miami, and re-domiciled the company. And so for us, a big part of it was bringing on a strong balance sheet. We have over 9,100 Bitcoin, around $600 million of Bitcoin on the balance sheet, really rigid operations. And really, my belief is to be a successful large-scale miner in this ecosystem, you just have to be a low-cost operator. And as long as you're a low-cost operator, when the markets run, you're able to reap the rewards and be highly profitable. And the markets compress, like post-halving, you're able to manage through the halving and consolidate. So I think the dynamics that exist today are different than what happened in 2022. And so today, for example, prices, I think, is bailing a lot of folks out, where if price remained at $30,000, $40,000 with the halving, you'll see a lot more M&A and distressed opportunities out there. Back in 2022, a big area that led to a lot of bankruptcies in the mining sector and distressed assets was because of the leverage of 2021. A lot of companies grew with debt, and that debt couldn't be serviced in 2022 when Bitcoin prices went down and energy prices went up. Where we are today is I think a lot of the growth that we've seen in 23 and even early 24 has been through the equity markets and a lot of folks raising capital through their ATMs and diluting. And so even though you won't see as many bankruptcies due to kind of the under leverage in terms of that ecosystem, I think you'll see M&A activity just due to an inability to get capital. Smaller scale operators won't be able to raise the capital they'll need in order to grow their businesses and to grow their operations, where I think capital will concentrate at the large scale operators who have the lowest marginal cost of production.
Position with what we're seeing with regard to the Goldilocks and soft landing narrative. You wouldn't expect gold to be doing what it's doing if we're truly going to have a soft landing and you got cyclical stocks and small caps and others outperforming. So one of the things that to me is a big factor there, outside of what's happening in the Middle East and some of these other issues that are creating some angst, is the fiscal situation here in the U.S. If I'm a prudent investor and I see that the U.S. is going to run another close to $2 trillion deficit and we're going to have to issue new treasuries and we're going to be at, $40 trillion in total debt before long, I don't want to own Bitcoin, and I'm probably a little leery of the fiat currencies like the dollar. Gold is a great place to invest, and I think that's a big part of what's going on. Ultimately, over time, though, you wouldn't expect gold to be rallying if we're truly going to have a sustainable stock market rally and a true soft landing and Goldilocks type environment. That's one of those things we need to keep an eye on that potentially could be a red flag.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of the huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we could have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're getting at more right now with Bloomberg's Shonali Bassick. Shonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told its members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will, during that auction that we saw a little bit before. The attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling Treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of Treasury markets.
Now, it was not just a poor auction. It was absolutely lousy, and when the dealers have to step in to save a treasury auction, that's a rare occurrence. And very much a traditionalist. I like staying with the dollar. You know that from when I was there. It's make the dollar the choice. I hate when countries go off the dollar. I would not allow countries to go off the dollar, because when we lose that standard, that will be like losing a revolutionary war. That will be a hit to our country, just like losing a war. And we can't let that happen. And too many countries now are fighting to get off the dollar. And
Cryptoteacher and the New World Order book, plus the 3 Kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get home stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing they were still getting that free money, what are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Drama Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Drama Tam save New York from COVID stories 3. Part 3. King Joshua and Drama Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.